Hi everyone, welcome back. It's me. Today is April 29th, 2026. It's actually 12:40 a.m. So it's very, very early in the morning of the 29th, but I actually took a couple hours sleep, so I'm able to stay up a little bit later. And I really wanted to continue um, this part of the series so that I can close some of these web pages and shut my computer down. And so we are going to go over circles and cycles in this prison planet connections, hopefully maybe one or two episodes, okay? Um it's pretty interesting because it goes into reincarnation cycles. And I've talked a lot about that on my channel. Hold on one second. Before we get into this, I just want to pause. I want to grab my book. And I want to grab another book. I forgot. Hold on. Okay. So, by the way, my hair is tucked in my shirt, but it kind of looks like I have short hair, doesn't it? Boop, 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 boop. Okay. So, maybe one day of a cute little hairstyle like this. I don't know. So, what we're talking about, I've discussed this before with Helena Blavatsky's work. Um, and this book, The Secret Doctrine, even though it's kind of advanced for me, like, I can't understand what the heck she's talking about in half of it. For the Eastern occultists insist that electricity is an entity, electrifies into life, and separates primordial stuff or pre-genetic matter into atoms. All is atom. Probably. But anyway, so we're talking about this kind of cyclical development. So it says the origin and evolution of the universe explained in terms derived from the Hindu or Hindu cosmology concept of cyclical development. Okay? Now again, cycles and circles, right? So I thought of this part and I meant to show you how it connects to like the Terra Infinita ice wall map kind of thing, okay? Because what do we have here? We have circles, okay? Now I just heard this evening someone say the inner circle, and what would that be? Well, the known lands would be the inner circle where we live, right? That would be the outer circle. See what I'm saying? Once, and I thought it was so strange, and this person didn't really know what it meant, but they were documenting weird posts, crazy sounding posts from Britney Spears. And she said, that upper circle stuff's pretty crazy, right? Maybe she's talking about out here. Here's the inner, right? Maybe this is the upper one out, right? And so with civilizations, like I was saying, do you remember I mentioned about Plato's symbolic interpretation of Atlantis? But I said, like, Atlantis was an age. It wasn't just one place. I went the wrong direction. It was the next page over. So here. See how also it circles, but also it can represent civilizations. So civilization 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you see? Or maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that, eh? You see? And then again, it comes over here. Whoop, where are we? Nope, over here. With the cycles of time and the yuga. the yugas. Again, a circle. And it almost looks like the same pattern, doesn't it? One ring after the other. So even within there, it has the astrological signs of like where time was during the ages. You know, like the Ram or Pisces and Gemini, Cancer, you know, stuff like that. So, and it has a direction going this way. Oh, okay. Yeah, clockwise. But anyway, this is a way to measure time. It goes up to 12,500 AD. Okay? But again, these two things are very similar. I believe it's representing the same thing, just symbolically. What Plato was talking about with Atlantis was about civilizations. We went over this before. I think it was in my Antediluvian Ancient Civilizations series. Okay? But it is all connected. Cycles, circles, and there's one more thing. So, I thought it was interesting that, you know, if you have something that's spinning like this, it's going to pull things outward. Remember I talked about the gravitron and all that, pulling things outward? So if we are spinning like this for a while, this is just, you know, something that I've thought of before. Where's that little Japanese map that they found? Here it is. So these land masses here would be pulled out from the center, right? If we're spinning. Pulled out from the center. But this is a really old map that they have of land masses. But again, this could be another interpretation. And there's those rings again in the center. You see? So kind of representing these rings and land masses. With cycles and circles. So with every civilization, like the one closest to us, maybe the outer ring right here outside the known lands. And then the older they get, the further out they are. You see? So that's what I'm looking at here, symbolically representing it this way. And we've started here with the prison planet because the prison planet thing kind of, well, not just kind of, a lot of, reminded me of something I found just over the past week. Like I was saying, it's funny because one of the sections of Samsara is the Titan world. Then when I went over and checked Claudio Nocelli's Telegram, he's talking about the Titan world. And I'm like, what a coincidence, right? But all of this is connected. So, let me see. Oh, and then again, with the upper circle, it has to do with the custodians, right? Because whatever's going on here, like say this is kind of the probationary period, like a prison planet or like a, let me see, let me just read it to you. Because I'm going to go over what custodian is again as well. So a prison planet is a term used to describe a world where the entire environment is dedicated to the incarceration of criminals, often monitored and controlled to prevent escape, like at the ice wall, right? In some theories, it also refers to a concept where beings are trapped in a cycle of reincarnation and energy harvesting on Earth. And I think it's both. You know, they're related. And prison, again, we will look at custodian. Just let me get through this a little bit. So a prison planet is primarily defined as a world specifically designated for the incarceration of criminals or souls, right? Maybe not necessarily criminals, you know? Maybe it's people who have to pay off dharma and make up karma or things like this. But let's just say souls, okay? This concept can encompass various interpretations, including characteristics, okay? The entire planet is structured to confine individuals, often with strict monitoring to prevent escape. That's exactly what the custodians and them do, right? So it's like the custodians are on the top and they get the Anunnaki to do their bidding, almost like they're lackeys, like underneath. Like a spiritual hierarchy would work this way. Control mechanisms, systems are in place to manage the inhabitants, ensuring compliance and order. So theoretical interpretations. In addition to the literal definition, the term prison planet is also, let me read that over again. In addition to the literal definition, the term prison planet is also used in some theories to describe the reincarnation cycle. A belief that beings are trapped in a cycle of reincarnation where they are manipulated into returning to life on Earth for energy harvesting. And it is partially that. See, it's both. You have the ability to graduate out of this place. And we're going to look at that in Samsara. But there's also, like this dark and light aspect, there's also being trapped here until you get it right. And they will try to stop you because these beings that have this control system in place want to remain in it, like we've been talking about for ages now. Not just with the elites, the humans, but the ones above them, right? Even if it just is a mental energy harvesting thing, they want that to be what contains or continues to nourish them, right? So again, energy harvesting, the idea that certain entities exploit human energy for their own gain, keeping individuals in a loop of rebirth. So you keep coming back, until they achieve spiritual awakening. But it's not only in this plane of existence, right? Where was it that I first talked about? Oh, right. This is what I forgot. I keep forgetting it over and over. So I didn't know how significant this part was, but I've read this many times. And again, this has to do with samsara and the cycles of how our soul goes through these different states of being, different states of consciousness, It said, I died as a mineral and became a plant. I died as a plant and rose to animal. I died as animal and I was human. Why should I fear when I was less by dying? Yet once more I shall die human, to soar with the angels blessed above. And when I sacrifice my angel soul, I shall become what no mind ever conceived. As a human I will die once more. Reborn, I will with the angels soar. And when I let my angel body go, I shall be more than mortal mind can know. That's by Rumi. So I had that in there 3 years ago, but I didn't really understand how important that was with the reincarnation. We're going to get to that part on the wheel part, because there's different parts the soul goes through. It's not just this part of soul school. There's different parts of it, and it's quite vast. And everybody's participating, So this duality is the definition highlights both the physical and metaphysical aspects of what constitutes as a prison planet. Okay, so I hope you can kind of understand that it's not been set up as a trap and that's it. like a soul trap, and that it's not just an energy harvesting thing and that's it. There's literally two sides to the same coin. Okay? So we're going to move over, because I think a lot of people do understand the concept of what that is. But showing you like the circle and everything like that. Okay, we'll just move here. Samsara. So this is a Buddhist interpretation. I've gone over the Hindu interpretation, Hindu cosmology interpretation, and things that were written in the Vedas. There's a big list that I have actually of this fellow's videos who really broke that down and explains, what extraterrestrials are, and even talks about, these flying craft they have, and different types of reptilians, nagas, all kinds of different beings and stuff that they call them. Okay, serpent types of beings. So samsara is commonly translated as cyclic existence or cycle of existence. This is what I call soul school. It can be defined as a continual repetitive cycle of birth and death that arises from ordinary beings grasping and fixing on a self and experiences. Specifically, samsara refers to the process of cycling through one rebirth after another within 6 realms of existence, where each realm can be understood as either a physical realm or a psychological state characterized by a particular type of suffering. Now, if you've never heard this quote, like, suffering is a part of life. It's the needless suffering that you concern yourself with. Like, so there's too much needless suffering. So when you can help in a situation, you do, right? This isn't something that teach in Buddha. This is something that I believe. They don't teach us in Buddhism, whatever. But that's the real problem here. On this place, there's too much needless suffering. There is part of life is suffering. It's the vast, huge amount of needless suffering that becomes overwhelming for us all and affects everything within the realms of existence. So, where was I? Particular type of suffering. Samsara arises out of ignorance. And so that's what I mean. Like, even from when I was young, I had these things inside of me, but they weren't really known. Like, they didn't come to the surface because they didn't have any of the science behind it to explain it, So it kind of like stays within and then comes to the outside, as within, so without. But it arises out of ignorance, and it's characterized by suffering, anxiety, and dissatisfaction. Yeah, and I think that a lot of my life, I didn't understand why I had the life I had. I thought maybe I'd done something wrong or I was being punished in a way, but the universe and the divine creator was giving me exactly what I asked for. As we continue in this, which we're going to, you will learn that there is a way, not just through enlightenment, but in a way, yes, enlightenment. But I think like people think that means like sitting on a rock somewhere and being like, oh, no. A lot of how I came to discover these things is because I followed my curiosity, I suppose. I asked questions, and I can show you, and I have, even just when I search things and look things up. The esoteric, what was it? The esoteric significance of the circle, I think it was. Yeah. You're going to see. I've got quite a few web pages to get through, so let's just try and get through this. So, and I think, yeah, a lot of people take in the prison planet thing. It's like this place of punishment and awfulness. And in a way, I do see it that way sometimes too, because I've literally compared this place to hell. Like actual hell. But I guess it is, again, the way that you see it, your perspective, and how, you allow yourself to see it and how you see things. God, maybe I shouldn't record this late. It's like 1:02. Let's try to continue. Okay. So, in Buddhist view, liberation from samsara is possible by following the Buddhist path, or graduation from soul school. Okay? These things sound like it's different wording, but like we have different languages, it means the same thing. So I'm talking about soul school. This is how I mean. It's a place in everybody. No one's exempt. Everybody that exists is part of it until you're no longer in existence. Samsara is a continual repetitive cycle of birth and death that arises from ordinary... I already read that. The 3 planes of existence. So there's that number again, 3. So there's the desire realm, the form realm, and the formless realm. Most types of sentient beings, including humans and animals, inhabit the desire realm. The form and formless realms are domains of various types of celestial beings. This would be like higher dimensionals, and I suppose what we would call extraterrestrials. Remember, what started this off for me is when I looked up extra and terrestrial separately. It means more land. The desire realm is principally dependent on external objects of sensual desire, such as form, sound, and so on. So your senses, taste, sight, sound. The form realm is principally dependent on the internal bliss of absorption. Like energy absorption. Formless realms. Well, the 5th dimensional entities are formless. They have no bodies. They're of the mind. So, most likely, the formless realm is principally dependent on being disenchanted even by the bliss of absorption, on tranquility permeated by the feeling of equanimity alone. The hell does that mean? Six modes of being. The wheel of life. Yeah, that's again with the wheel of life. It's about a wheel, a circle. We're going to see these pictures. Here, look, I'll show you something real quick. If you're getting bored. Hold on, I'm going to show you something. It's over here. Look at all these examples. This is the Samsara reincarnation wheel. But there's the wheel of life. See over here, this wheel? And you see that a lot. It almost looks like the navigator ship wheel. But there's a lot of different interpretations. Look, there it is again. This wheel. The circle. You see it on the outside? What's that? Oh yeah, here it is here. In stone, they depicted it. See, it's all divided by walls even, but just in a different way. Yeah, you see that the little ship wheel all the time. So it looks like the thing that you'd steer a ship with. And like I said, I see that on people I think it's Cat Williams. I'm pretty sure he's got one on his neck. That wheel type of thing. And I mean, it could be the navigator of your own ship, like, symbolically, you're the captain, right? You control your own destiny and all that. Yeah. But it might have more of a deeper meaning. The thing about it is, so with good deeds, like they tell you, like, to follow in the footsteps of Christ. You know what I mean? The teachings of Christ. So the Buddhist path would be very similar. Okay? Because technically, that would be a Christ state, would be the Buddha, an enlightened state. Okay? Where? Oh, that's what I was looking for. Where is that little wheel with all the not the aliens, the animals and stuff? Hold on. We were going to get to that after, but it has to do with what I read from the Rumi quote, and it was supposed to be here. Maybe I'll have to hit the load more. Oh. Whoop, there it is. Found it. Okay, so I'll give you a better look. Open image, a new tab. Go over here. I'll show this tab instead. Okay, let me see here. See if you can see. Okay. So with this, on the top, we have a baby, and then we have a plant, bug. What the heck is that on the bottom? Hold on, I have to check. Oh, that's a snake, and then a bird, and then a lion. Do you see? So it's like a process of going through different states of being. So like plant, mineral, blah, 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 blah. So you go through all these different things. And at first I thought like the 108 was having to do with how many lifetimes you live. But there's actually like an 8-fold path, 7-fold path, 6-fold path. It's pretty interesting. So let us go back here. Oh, wait. Okay. Here. This is one of my favorites. This is what I saw. And Claudio's talking about the Titan world. And look at that. Asuras and demons. We don't like the D word. But Asuras. And I was like, oh. So, again, this is on a wheel. Different worlds. Like kind of divided. Right? Almost like a pie here. We have the Titan world there. At the top we have heaven, and then the human world, hungry ghosts, hell, and the animal world. And I told you there was a place where hell was cold. Look at that. Cold hell. Not surprised at all. The Great Judgment. What's that in the center there? A bird and something. So sky and earth, I guess. I don't know. I can't really see that well in there. But yeah, that's pretty cool, right? I mean, I suppose it does seem pretty terrible. And when I remember things, I suppose that's why everything seems like one big, long life. But I thought that was really cool. So, again, this is just another, it's similar to the Hindu cosmology that we were looking at. I hope I'm saying that right. Or Vedic cosmology. Yeah. And there's Devas right next to it in heaven. And then the Titan world. See, like I was saying, in this chart here, and I know it may not make sense, but it kind of does according to how things are looking everywhere else. that it would go the third dimension, and then above us is the fourth, and then fifth would be demons, sixth would be angels. Where are you? Where are you? Ah. Oh, sorry, everybody. Hold on. So here. So we have these here, and maybe you don't get to seventh until you reach nirvana. You just keep cycling through these six, right? Until you reach the seventh. I mean, that's what they said here in your head is the kingdom, so it would probably make sense that you cycle through until you're finished through all those, and then you go into heaven, into the seventh dimension, or whatever, how many ever you believe there are, whatever. But yeah, okay. So 6 classes of beings, 6 destinies, 6 realms, 6 domains. Buddhist cosmology, 6 modes of being. Okay. There are gods, jealous gods, humans, animals, hungry ghosts, and hell beings. So the Titans would probably be jealous gods, and then the gods heaven, and then the Titan world would be the jealous gods, humans, animals, hungry ghosts, and hell beings. Lower alpha. Huh. The gods are devas. The gods lead long and enjoyable lives, full of pleasure and abundance, but they spend their lives pursuing meaningless distractions and never think to practice the Dharma. When death comes to them, they are completely unprepared. Completely unprepared without realizing that they have completely exhausted their good karma, which was the cause for being reborn in the God realm. Ah. And they suffer through being reborn in the lower realms. Happens to the best of us, I suppose. Jealous gods, Asura. Sorry, I'm just thinking about all the ins and outs that I went through with the entity known as the Asura. I didn't know what that word was until it told me. And I spelled it wrong in the beginning. Thought it was saying Azura, Asura, Azura. It sounds almost the same to me. But anyway, it says the jealous gods have pleasure and abundance almost as much as the gods do. But they spend their time fighting amongst themselves or making war on the gods. When they make war on the gods, they always lose, since the gods are much more powerful. The jealous gods suffer from constant fighting and jealousy, and from being killed and wounded in their wars, and each other, and with the gods. Humans suffer from hunger, thirst, heat, cold, separation from friends, being attacked by enemies, not getting what they want, and getting what they don't want. They also suffer from the general sufferings of birth, old age, sickness, and death. Yet, the human realm is considered to be the most suitable realm for practicing the Dharma. because humans are not completely distracted by pleasure like the gods or demigods. Oh, shit. Or by pain and suffering like the beings in the lower realms. Animals. Animals operate on an instinctual level. They are not capable of rational thought or logic. Therefore, they are unable to reflect on their situation or practice the Dharma. Many wild animals suffer from being attacked and eaten by other animals. Many domestic animals suffer from being used as beasts of burden or from being slaughtered for food, and so on. Hungry ghosts suffer from extreme hunger and thirst. Oh, yeah, because they can never eat or drink again. They wander constantly in search of food and drink, only to be miserably frustrated any time they come close to actually getting what they want. For example, they see a stream of pure, clear water in the distance. By the time they get there, the stream has dried up. Hungry ghosts have huge bellies and long, thin necks. On rare occasions that they do manage to find something to eat or drink, the food and water burns their neck as it goes down to their belly, causing them intense agony. Hell beings. Hell beings endure unimaginable suffering for eons of time. Traditional texts describe 18 different types of hells, each inflicting a different kind of torment. In the hot hells, beings suffer from unbearable heat and continual torments of various kinds. In the cold hells, beings suffer from unbearable cold and other torments. Benefits of being born human. This is what I was looking for. Among the 6 domains, a human birth is said to offer the best opportunity to practice the Dharma, therefore offering the best chance to attain liberation from samsara, or graduation finally from out of here. If we need to judge the value of these 6 realms, the Buddhists would say the best realm is the human realm. Why is it the best? Because you have a choice. The gods don't have a choice. Why? They're too happy. When you are too happy, you have no choice. You become arrogant. The hell realm, no choice, too painful. The human realm, not too happy, also not too painful. When you are not so happy and not in so much pain, what does that mean? A step closer to the normality of mind, like balance of mind, remember? When you are really, really excited and in ecstasy, there is no normality of mind. And when you are totally in pain, you don't experience the normality of mind either. So someone in the human realm has the best chance of acquiring the balance or normality of mind. And this is why in Buddhist prayers you will always read, ideally may we get out of this place, but if we can't do it within this life, may we be reborn in the human realm, not the others. Yeah. It makes sense now, the things that I remember. A lot more. I mean, I thought that the spirit realm had something to do with it, but it was another place. In another time, yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to take a break. This is quite big. We're not going to go through all of it. But I encourage you to read all of this for yourself. The root cause is ignorance. The root cause of samsara is ignorance, specifically the belief in a single, independently existing self. Ignorance gives rise to the 3 poisons, which lead to the creation of karma, which lead to rebirth in the 6 realms of existence. It turns, I can't say that person's name, sorry. It turns out that the driver of this whole traveling show, or samsara, is the sense of being a permanent self or soul, of being someone you should be or will be or was something. But we all, wait, what? So I think what it's saying here is that the divine consciousness, or the divine creator, is living out itself through all consciousness in life, through all of our eyes and the things that live in existence. Okay? But we only sense ourselves as being something through doing something such as thinking, feeling, acting, or suppressing. And doing can never arrive at simply peacefully being. So who or what is behind all this? I think it means karma. After all the years of searching, Siddhartha, whatever that is, forgive me, realized that he couldn't find any lasting self. All he could find were psychophysical processes strung together around a need to be something solid. Yeah, it's just experience existence. Ignorance, and thus a twofold problem. Once we establish neuronal habit of identifying ourselves as a single, independently existing self, we inevitably start to see whatever is not self as other. Other can be anything: a table, a banana, another person, or even something that self is thinking or feeling. Everything we experience becomes, in a sense, a stranger. And as we become accustomed to distinguishing between self and other, we lock ourselves into dualistic mode of perception, drawing conceptual boundaries between ourself and the rest of the world out there. A world that seems so vast that we almost can't help but begin to think of ourselves as very small, limited, and vulnerable. We begin looking at other people, material objects, and so on as potential sources of happiness and unhappiness. Not everything you have is in here, inside of you. This doesn't point, I promise. And life becomes a struggle to get what we need in order to be happy before somebody else grabs it. This struggle is known in Sanskrit as Samsara, which literally means wheel or circle. To continuously do something. Specifically, samsara refers to the wheel or circle of unhappiness, a habit of running around in circles, chasing after the same experience again and again, each time expecting a different result. If you've ever watched a dog or a cat chasing its own tail, you've seen the essence of samsara. And even though it would be funny to watch an animal chase its tail, it's not so funny when your own mind does the same thing. Okay. So the circle is an interesting concept. Holding to an ordinary notion of self or ego is the source of all our pain and confusion. The irony is that when we look for this self that we're cherishing and protecting, we can't even find it. The self is shifty and ungraspable. It's true. Anyway, listen. I know this might be boring for some people. I find this very interesting. If you want to read the rest, of course, the link is below. This is the Encyclopedia of Buddhism, okay? The Samsara overview. it will be in the sources below, but we are going to move on in the wheel or circle thing. But if you would like to learn more about this, you're more than welcome to follow the link and read it. I'm still reading it as I talk to you. Okay, hold on. I will be right back, and we're going to continue. Did we talk about that one? Jeez, I'm tired. So we went over the prison planet thing, right? Uh-oh. Okay, well, I'm just going to stop this little part. Oh my goodness, 45 minutes. Oh! And I didn't change the thing. Oh. Well, at least you get to look at what I'm talking about, because I recorded all of that and I didn't bring you with me. Oh dear. Because I was over here. Oh well. Ego is the source of all our pain and confusion. That's confunden. They confused us. Okay, I will be right back.